All right, y'all. It's your boy back again. Another video. Got my Starbucks on deck. Hey, man, if y'all ever want to, spot your boy something, man, hey, I love Starbucks, man. Just for man, that shit hit. But, what the hell? Is this gray hair or something? I don't know. Must have been some lint. Like, I just got finished doing DoorDash, and I was trying to do some Instacart, too. I'm trying to make some extra money and shit. But, anyway, so let me adjust this camera a tad bit. There we go. Right on time. So, I know I just spent 40 seconds trying to get myself positioned. It's like, shouldn't you have done it before the video? I know. It's not like I'm getting ad money for this shit. But, so the Pelicans play Detroit tonight. If you follow me on Twitter, I already said I think they're going to win this game. Pelicans this year have a pattern of they're not losing to a team that beat them twice unless it's the Jazz. But if I remember correctly, they didn't have Lonzo both games for the Jazz. Um, so, and he was coming back off the injury, so, give it what it is. Anyway, I predict that they're going to win this game. Just, I'm going to be honest. I think they're going to remember that game against them a couple weeks ago and say, okay, we're going to bust their ass. If they lose this game, I would be surprised. I'm not going to lie. I would be pleasantly surprised. I would like to think, they had 2 days off. They played an incredible game. They've had time to practice. So I would think that we'd get the best version of them for this game. Having said all of that, you know what, man? The Pelicans, if they stay the course, they have a lot of potential. But matter of fact, let me adjust this. There we go, center. But I'm gonna say some things here that is not going to sit well with the general public. And this is just me. Or you may agree. Let me start with Zion. First of all, congratulations to him. He's only played 50 something games and he's already an all-star. He would have probably been an all-star last year given all of the injuries that were afoot and everything, which displaced a lot of players that usually would have been all-stars that didn't get all-stars, But that's how B.I. got to be an all-star last year because so many other guys were out. He got to be seen in a higher light. So, congratulations to Big Z on the All-Star nod. Or the reserve nod, I should say, which it shouldn't matter. It's all the same. But, side note with that, why the fuck it ain't 15? I ain't gonna lie, for the longest I always thought it was 15. But it really should be 15. It should be 3 per each position, basically. There should be 3 points, 3 shooters, 3 small forwards, 3 power forwards, and 3 centers on both teams. That's the way I thought it should go. But anyway, enough of that. So with Zion, let me just say this. Obviously, he has defensive issues here and there. And honestly, I'm going to be blunt with you. I don't think those will ever get fixed his entire career. I don't think it's that he doesn't try to play defense. I think his defense is stellar in certain situations. Like, guys who are closer to his size but don't have movement, he could guard them pretty well. But if you're putting him on a guy who has either height and they can just like lay it up over him, that's an issue for Zion to guard. If you put Zion on someone who is a cutter, who is athletically fast, like for all intents and purposes, Zion does not get from point A to point B as quickly as they like to make it seem. There's guys way faster than Zion moving on the court. So, for instance, if he's guarded up with Paul George, he's gonna lose Paul George the entire game. He just can't keep up with him. He's gonna be too fast for him, and he's gonna get to his spots, and it is what it is. That's just one of the things. When you look at Zion, 280 something, 270 pounds, like your legs carries a lot of stomp to it, a lot of heavy like, grr, it's you don't have that twitchy, fast moving thing going on with your legs like some other guys. So when it comes to Zion, it's just like, what is his ceiling on defense or guarding people? I think it depends on the matchup. When teams go small ball, and that's what if the Pels want to win, they have to find a way to go small ball consistently. Right? The problem is you can't run Zion at the 5 consistently. You got it. The Pelicans are going to have to find a 4 or another forward who can like go through all the different positions. Like if they could get Lauri Markkanen and they could play him at center some games, or just basically play him as the small ball center, and then you have Z and Bi, they would be perfect. Or if you get someone like Bam. Like honestly, if the Pelicans had Bam Adebayo, they would be a championship caliber team this season. Believe it or not, if you had Bam and let's say Josh Hart, and that was your starting lineup, Bam, Z, Bi, Josh Hart, Zoe, they would be a championship squad for the rest of their time together. I'm gonna just be upfront, blunt, and honest about it. But that's the thing. Z's height deficiency is going to plague him. Look, watching him jump ball in the center against the Celtics, because just like, oh, he could jump. Look, those guys, they're guys that are taller than him that can jump too. And even if they can't jump as high, or if they jump the same height, they're already closer to the ball because of length. You see what I'm saying? So he can't. There's a certain part where he's just not going to be able to guard them. At least with Charles Barkley back in the day, even though he's like an undersized power forward, you could put him on a 2, you could put him on a guard because he's still 6'5", 6'6", and so he could guard those guys. He still have the quickness to guard them, but you tried to match him up offensively. He can match up with anybody on the court. It didn't matter, but you can't put him on. You can't have him guard Hakeem. There's no way. It's just not going to work. So that's ultimately the issue I think Zion is going to have for his career. I don't think he's ever going to be that God tier defensive player. He'll probably be average or above average, which is good. And honestly, that's all he really needs to be, to take his whole game to the next level on defense anyway. Now on offense, look, I know a lot of people like to talk about his technique. He has good technique, but he's still lacking technical ability. What I mean by that is he don't really post up. He can't back you down. He don't know how to really pull up mid-range yet. There's so many open holes in his game offensively. They're similar to Zoe, actually. And except he could do everything in the mid-range, and he's kind of working his way back. And Zoe kind of could shoot, even though he didn't really shoot good the first couple of years. And then he working his way in now. So it's kind of like inverse. But he needs something else. He needs another threat on the court, because all the Boston Celtics shown you is the key to stopping Zion is just to put him in positions where he's got 3 bodies. One reaching in, one on his strong arm, and the other dictating where he goes. Some teams may opt to go 2 bigs. Like if you got a team like Bam, like Miami with Bam and Kelly Olynyk, they may opt to put Kelly Olynyk on his weak hand and Bam on his strong hand, and just have like Jimmy Butler or somebody reach in, and that's how they would guard him. You know what I'm saying? That may be the key to, stopping Zion, which, this is going back to the point that Pelicans need to be able to play small. Which for them, their small is kind of big because Lonzo, B.I., Zion, like these guys ain't small. But that's the unfair advantage they give you. But yeah, Zion, he's still got a long way to go in scoring and offense. I know people were talking about that guy who got on, Colin's show and I think embarrassed himself, said stupid shit about Zion. Look, a lot of these guys don't watch basketball. Like I said before, there's guys who's like in the Memphis game, those guys said Zoe can't shoot. They didn't. They all they know is they don't because they all they do is they focus on Memphis. They don't watch other teams, so they never saw that Zoe went from to, they saw this, but they didn't see this. So that's all they know. So a lot of these guys don't really watch Zion. They don't really pay attention. Forgive them. They're ignorant. But to be fair, Zion is a good passer. He's a good playmaker, but he ain't Chris Paul. He ain't Lonzo. He ain't LeBron. And I told you guys before, I don't think that's his ceiling in passing. I don't. I think he'll always be a really good passer, but I don't think he'll just be that guy. I think he makes the appropriate basketball play on the court, and that's all he really needs. Rebounding, a lot of people say he should average double figures. Look, man, there's a lot of big guys there. A bulk of his rebounds are going to come from offensive rebounds because he's going to throw it up, come down to the earth because the gravity of his body weight is going to pull him down, thus the quick second jump, and then he's going to spring back up and get it with his athletic ability. That's how he's going to get a lot of his rebounds. Is he just think about it. He can't beat certain bigs off a jump ball. It's just simple, gravity. It's just simple, physical metrics. They're already taller than you. They don't have as far to go. Even though you got jump velocity and power and stuff, you're still a 285 guy going up against a guy who's got inches on you to touch the ball faster than you. You see what I'm saying? Do I think he's going to be a 10 rebound plus guy again? No. I think his ceiling, I think his peak, he could be that. I think at his peak, he might get a season where he's 20 plus 11 something rebounds and maybe 5-6 assists, which is Giannis tier. But do I think for his career his average is going to be that? No. His career average is going to be something like 26, 8, and 4, which is Hall of Fame, elite level Hall of Fame, maybe top 15 players all time level Hall of Fame. Especially if he gets the defense part. But he's got so much room to grow that the sky's literally the ceiling for him. But more importantly, and this is how I'm also going to transition into BI, he's become the best player on this team. Last year, BI was the best player on this team. And the ceiling with BI is there. You can tell what he can and cannot do. BI is not impressive. He's a very good second star, but the intangibles that KD has, he just don't have. KD is just way too... He's a beast. He's terrifying. Brandon Ingram he's kind of Paul George-ish to me. He's very smooth with it, and that's the inconsistency too, like Paul George. But he ain't KD. He's got the... If he's what Paul George would be if Paul George played like KD. If that makes sense. He's if you took Paul George and KD and put them together, you got Brandon Ingram. He's more built like KD, but his game is more, it's more I attack in a way that KD would, but I play the game stylistically like a Paul George would. And so Paul George has a limit, a clear limit. He's like a lower tier MVP candidate when he's peaking. When he's peak, his offense is legendary. He could go shoot with anybody in the league, best of anybody in the league, and defensively, he's top 5 guys in the league. That is a superstar level talent. Except B.I. don't have that defense. And I don't know if he'll ever get it. He had it with Luke, but his role and the way they played was different too. Plus, he wasn't given the weight that he has now on offense. So I think he traded in kind of like Kawhi. He traded in some of the defensive parts for the offense. He's just going to stick more with the offense, so his defense will never catch up. But he's clearly the number 2, and he should be the number 2. Zion is just way more unstoppable, and when you look at the film, it's fairly like even Antonio Daniels, shout outs to him, he points this stuff out. There's way more eyes on Z than there are on B.I. What Zion and B.I. have to learn to do is B.I. has to learn to be submissive to Zion's gravity. Now, I'm not saying he needs to be a beta male on the court, What I'm saying is, okay, if I'm BI, the mindset I have to have is okay. Z's gravity is the highest on the team. His actually Z got LeBron level gravity already. If you watch him, people like they pay attention to him like they pay attention to LeBron, like they pay attention to KD, like they pay attention to Steph. Like he's got top 5 MVP level championship player attention on him now. Like watch the games, it's ridiculous. You shouldn't have that kind of gravity at this age. But and under this number of games, but he is ridiculous. If I'm BI, I have to realize, okay, my job is not necessarily to shoot. My job should be to cut in a way that Z can make the pass, and me and Z gotta work on that. His passing and my movement off the ball, I kind of already got. I gotta put myself in his peripheral so he can see, so I can score easy. That's what he has to do. He has to learn to better use his Z's gravity to his advantage. Z has to learn to capitalize off of it. That's when they're gonna be at their best. Because what's happening is it's working the other way around. B.I.'s trying to get his offense and gravity carry to pull off of Zion, but it's not working. He's just not good enough to do it. Like if this was Kevin Durant, oh yeah, it'd be a match made in heaven. It'd be perfect. Be perfect. But KD's a different kind of guy, different kind of cat. So B.I. has to learn to adjust to being the second guy. Essentially, that's all he's going to be. He's the second guy. He's a number 2. And because of that, that's where the mindset has to change. The thought process. Once they start coming off of Z to guard BI can start to work his game. And then he can use his gravity. He'll start to pull because now they have to get off of him because they have to learn to play off of each other. Kind of like how Russ and KD took turns. But it's more, they have to play it seamlessly if they want to be really effective. If Zion can realize, okay, if I keep feeding BI and BI is starting to get easy, like looks at the basket, they're going to have to come off of me. And so they're going to start to take away the passing lane for BI. They're either going to commit to him harder, which means, and how, well, let me not say which means. It depends on how they commit. They may pull off of somebody else to guard BI personally, in which case he has to be like, okay, who did they pull off of? Did they pull off Josh Hart, Bledsoe, or Lonzo? Make the correct pass. Basically, Zion's game is going to have to be to punish. He's going to have to predict and punish. BI's game has to be to capitalize on the punishment. He's going to get easier looks the entire game. BI should average 26 points a game just off of getting to the rack all day. Just for the simple fact that Zion is going to be on one place in the court getting attention, and he just has to make the right read. Okay, pull up, mid-range shot. I ain't even got to do anything. Just shoot up over him. If one of Zion's defenders come off of me, Zion has to be like, okay, I got my man beat. Now, like that's the game, around the game. I don't like BI just standing there waiting for a pass from him. I like BI to be making moves. Same thing with Zoe here. Zoe, I would like for Zoe to be making moves, but honestly, Zoe is such a good three-point shooter. It's kind of like, do you really want to pull him off the line? Do you really? Because he's like your best three-point shooter and he's ascending. Do you want to take him off the line to cut when his value is so much high stretching the floor? You see what I'm saying? So that's the little entanglement that they have. Now, to BI's point, BI does a lot of things really good. Very good. But he lacks that gravity pulling effect. Like you could guard BI face up one-on-one. He is guardable. Zion ain't guardable one-on-one. All the all-time greats are not guardable one-on-one. Look at Steph Curry. Steph Curry be moving around, but Steph will sit there and rock, pull behind the back cross, and it's over with. And it's like, damn. Like all the best one-on-one players, they're unguardable. You have to commit multiple men. B.I. is not there. He could possibly be there, but I don't see it. Like usually, I think when you're a scorer at this age, it starts to become like you start to set into it, right? Kevin Durant at this age was dragging OKC to the finals. Does B.I. look like the KD that dragged someone to the finals? To that point, Paul George carried the team to the Eastern Conference playoffs. Granted, that team was stacked. Roy Hibbert was really good at that time. George Hill, really good. Young Paul George, Danny Granger, Lance Stevenson, David West, like them boys. That was one of my favorite teams. That Pacers squad, 2012, 2013, they was legit. Pushed Miami Heat to 7 games. Really good team. Couldn't get over the hump, especially after they traded Danny Granger. That was a bad thing. And then that whole stuff about people fucking around on other people's chicks. But I just gotta tell you, man. Look, Bi's not going to be the alpha. He don't have it. He just don't have it. He's not that guy. It doesn't mean he's not good. He's a great second guy, but he's not that I'm going to carry this franchise on my back. He just don't have that KDism. And you can see it when you play. You sit there, you can watch it, be like, if this is KD, oh, nope. That's what makes Brooklyn so like hard to beat. They got 3 guys that literally don't give a fuck about your defense, and you can't double because you got a Joe Harris who will light you up and get 18, 20 points just off of shooting threes. So it's like you literally have to guard unguardable players one-on-one. Pelicans, you got to commit 2 to Z, but you can still guard BI one-on-one. To make BI better, BI has to be able to move without the ball and attack, and Zion has to be able to hit him right on the dime. That's the evolution of those two. As it applies to Lonzo's job is simple. Flex. Be the cog that connects those two together. Not just them, but be the cog that connects the entire team. He has to be, for lack of a better term, he has to be Rajon Rondo to Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen. He has to basically be Rondo. All those guys are good, but without Rondo, their ceiling is much lower. He has to be that guy that understands what the team needs, and he has to be the smartest one on the court. And because he's garnered the respect of B.I. and Zion, and they will listen to him, he is like the third player. He's the most important player probably on this squad. Because as he goes, the rest of the team elevates. Their ceiling is based on Lonzo's play, believe it or not. I'll say this. You could lose B.I. for a season. Zion and Lonzo could get it done. And what I mean by get it done is they could get you into playoffs and they probably could win you a series. But they're going to need B.I. They're going to need him. If they're going to ever be a championship team, they have to have all 3. Even in their prime, they're going to have all 3. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you look at it. Without Lonzo Ball, there will be a hard cap on what this team can do. Lonzo was meant to play with particularly Zion. He was directly meant to play with Zion. B.I., on the other hand, not so much. I think I think they understand how to play, so it's fine, and they work through it, kind of like how you did with LeBron. But there could be a better fit, and that's the thing. There's a better fit instead of B.I. Will the Pelicans pull a trigger and make a move? Will they realize this, like, okay, there is a guy that fits better and will unlock Lonzo and Zion, and their ceiling will be limitless potential? There are guys in the league for this job. The problem I have is a lot of these guys are older. So the question is there a way you could get one, like, you got to figure out who this young third guy or this other replacement for B.I., if you ever want to go that route, could be. You know, I'll say this. If Zach LaVine ever played defense, Zach LaVine would be perfect. Lonzo, Zach LaVine, Zion would be a better fit based on how they play. Because Zach LaVine is one of those guys who one-on-one. Zach LaVine has that KDism, that Kobeism, where you can't guard him one-on-one. You just keep. And I told people before he got traded, when they were trying to decide on Minnesota was trying to decide on Minnesota. Minnesota was trying to decide on Minnesota. When Minnesota was trying to decide on Wiggins or him, I said you take the shooter. You take the shooter. The shooter is always the guy that can go up there and just can get hot and can torch. You always take the shooter because shooting is such an oppressive ability in this league. Wiggins, he's still a really good player and his defense is solid, but he can't command the attention that Zach LaVine can. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm going to tell you, this is a simple way to break down basketball in the league. What guys force your defense to change to prevent them from going off? Zach LaVine is one of those guys. Devin Booker, too. I just think Zach LaVine has a hunger, this insatiable hunger. And if you've ever watched him play, you see it. He has this, like, you can feel it coming from him, like he's trying to kill everything on the court. It's not like Russ. Russ is like a demon, an uncontrolled demon. And he's not the shooter that Zach LaVine is. Zach LaVine is one of these guys where he can crush your spirit shooting. Plus, he got all the other stuff athletically that you want. So, if I was going to make a trade, Pelicans, I would take Brandon Ingram and ship him out for Zach LaVine. I would give Chicago Brandon Ingram, straight up. That would complete the Pelicans core. Zion, Zach, and Lonzo. And I promise you that Zach is no better or no worse than B.I. is on defense. But it would be a whole lot easier to go get a forward to play in place of B.I. Not because you need scoring necessarily, but you could go draft a 3-and-D guy. Look at all the guys they passed over in these drafts recently. It's so much easier to go get a guy that can go sit out there, spot up, and play defense and guard multiple positions than it is to get a flame-throwing 6'7" shooting guard / small forward who literally can hit anything on the court, hit every shot, any shot, at any time, and can go toe-to-toe with the best scorers in the league day in, day out, every day of the week. And it's consistent. It's consistent. You know, he may not have the passing that B.I. has. Because B.I. is a much better passer, a much more cerebral passer. And I think B.I. is probably a better rebounder. But B.I. ain't the scorer that Zach LaVine is. His scoring puts you over the hump. And what you miss out in passing, since you want to play point guard Zion, there it is. And then you got Lonzo too. That's just my take on it. But look, Pelicans are in a good place if they don't fuck this up. Obviously, the main core is the starting group that everybody wants. Adams is not the part of the core. He's too old. And it's apparent that they need a stretch 5, a good one. Hell, and I know I'm talking about being too old, but Vujovic is really good, even though he's old. He's really good. Dude drops like 43, 17, and 6 like it's normal. But they need something like that. You know, that's the only way they're going to get the most out of what they have right now is they need that stretch 5. If you don't get the stretch 5, I would probably package B.I. for Zach LaVine straight up. Like, here, let's do this. He just signed a 5-year deal, so you got him. You got him for 5 years. Zach LaVine's contract is going to be up soon. The Pelicans would be better off taking the gamble to be like, okay, look, we'll sign you to max money immediately. All you got to do is play your game. You got a point guard and you got another generational talent. You have never played with any guys like this ever. You had Wiggins and you had Cat. They ain't been anywhere. And true enough, these guys haven't been anywhere either, but they're different. I would argue Lonzo is better than Wiggins right now. I would argue that. I would argue that Zion is better than Cat. I would argue that. Especially because he's able to be on the court. So is Zoe. And even though Wiggins is putting up numbers, Zoe is too. But Zoe's a better passer. Higher IQ too. But anyway, that's all I got. Y'all have a good one.